Howdy, everybody. It's interesting this week. I've been talking to a lot of people who have had a lot of problems, like internal problems, like ghosty sort of things. Uh, Feeling really bad about themselves or blaming others for all sorts of things. So I thought people were not aware of all this guilt and shame and all these things that have been handed down to us with great enthusiasm over thousands of years. So culture and say something your great grandmother did and your mother did and all these things, so they expect you to do the same. But now young people are saying, "Oh, that doesn't make any sense to me." So, and it's like what happens is when your parents, like your grandparents, might have handed you all this information. It's like a whole lot of clothes from the wardrobe. You're wearing these clothes, and I'm just trying to make it simple because when you study a lot of things, you want to not make it not technical. Make it so that you don't have to think about things. So what happens is that your family line has passed down all these clothes, of culture. So that's like suddenly all your happiness and joy is being covered by these clothes. It's inside you, but you don't like sort of doing anything wrong, and you do something wrong because according to these rules, list of rules. Same with the BKs, you do these according to the Mariatas or the list of rules or whatever, and then you feel shame or you feel guilt, and so therefore, then that's these clothes that have been chucked over you. All your happiness and joy is inside. You're scared to even breathe because you might get punished by God in some way or another, and all these laws are there, like law of karma and they're only man-made things. They're only made up. They're not real. So, but people think they're real, and they are real if you believe in them. They're really everything's real if you believe in it. So when you find out that there's that all these samskaras that was within me, and but also the samskara of happiness and joy and love are all there too, you see. But you've got due to all the cultures and religions and the whole world, you've got all these clothes on, and happiness and joy is buried underneath all these clothes. So that's been handed down. Like some people like to hand down their wedding dress, so their mother's wedding dress or something, or their grandmother's wedding dress, or whatever. So they don't realise they're handing down, they've been arguing and fighting, so they want you to have those clothes as well. So here I have all my clothes. So you've had all these clothes, and we're wearing all these clothes, but now's the time that we have to start cleaning our wardrobe out. And so sometimes it might feel a bit bad that I'm getting rid of some of these clothes, that it's part of my culture and it's part of our rules and regulations here that make us feel guilty and shame and and all these things that come into it. Heaps and heaps. So it's an intellectual thing. So my happiness is always there within me. So it's like a ghost. Your happiness and joy. I was thinking we were talking on Sunday morning after Merillion, and it just came out. I don't know. I said, "Where's happiness and joy in the golden age? How can you have happiness if you don't know what happiness is? Then a thought came to me that, oh yeah, happiness is just like a ghost. It's like you don't need to know it. It's just you are happy, isn't it? The happiness you can't explain. Joy is the same. It just comes from within. But if you've got all these heavy clothes that are covering everything and you're burdened and you have a headache because, oh, if I do this, that's right and this is wrong. And that's where this right and wrong is trapped everybody. So there's no right and no wrong. So there's no punishment for doing right or wrong. It's just an experience. So if you just happen to run around murdering people, then it's your turn to get murdered next time. That's all. So you'll be having some experience. So, but not necessarily, even it might have been your job to stop someone else doing something else. So we don't know, and it doesn't matter. Who cares? Because we only have to worry about ourselves. So, and if you're losing your happiness, your joy, your energy, everything, if that's all these clothes that have burdened us from my hand down wardrobe. So, and now we've got a chance to clean the wardrobe by using our field, so the field is there. And it's like, so we could just sit for a minute and solve presence, and you just see if you can experience no guilt or shame being there. Okay, so these are two sets of clothes, guilt and shame. Just say if they weren't there, how would you feel? So just think for a minute, just be in soul presence and just observe. Don't think. So you're just observing. There's no guilt, no shame. There's no having to do anything, no right and no wrong. How does that feel? You're just sitting in soul presence, observing. You've never ever done anything wrong. You've never ever done anything right. You've just had experiences. How does that feel? You just feel how freeing that is. So your clothes that you've been wearing around, you can just drop them, just take them off and allow that true happiness and joy and sunshine from within just to start to flow out. And you don't have to make any efforts with it. You just have to allow that to happen. So, and when we're in soul presence, because energy always responds to soul presence. When you're in soul presence, energy serves those who are in soul presence. So, and you can never run out of energy. So sometimes we think, oh, I'm a bit whacked today or whatever. And because you've chosen to be whacked, that's all. Because energy serves you. If you think I'm a bit whacked, the energy, oh, you want to be a bit whacked today, okay. Instead of thinking, oh, I'm really charged up today, I need to be fully charged. So, and I want to experience happiness and joy and all this other stuff. I want to clean my wardrobe right out, and my mind will help me. So you say, hey, mind, is there anything else hanging in my wardrobe that's stopping me from having this joy and happiness? And that from shining from within. So, and it might come, you might think, oh, yeah, I think I've got all those clothes now. But then one day you'll be walking around and suddenly all these thoughts come up and you think, wow, where do they come from? So, and that's okay because you have that awareness. Say, oh, look at that. I've still got that. That's amazing. So then you talk about it with your field and say, we don't want to keep that now, do we? These are old clothes that were passed down by my great grandmother. So whatever. So we just want to chuck them out. So what we do, that's still not a bad thing, but the thing is, it becomes our wisdom. So everything that, even though we're chucking it out, it's a sign that I'm becoming free from the bondage of that. So, because another thing, it might come in front of you again. If you go with, you've got your family and all your everything there, then those same habits might come up again, but you won't be burdened by them this time. You'll think, oh yeah, I remember that. We chucked that out. Now I know about it. So I'm not going to get in bondage to those habits. So that's what wisdom is. Wisdom means knowing. So it comes from within. It's not through your mind. It's not an intellectual thing. So wisdom comes from deep within. It's just a knowing. That's the true wisdom. So I mean, someone who has a very smart intellect can become a professor or whatever they want, but doesn't mean he still has happiness. He might be still wearing all those clothes he's wearing, that he has to do to be a professor, all the training he has to have, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, whatever. But you can play all those different roles, but you can have 10 roles at once instead of one. So, and that's what it does. It helps you to get rid of all your identities. Your identities, like I was a carpenter in this birth, but at the same time I was a teacher, a meditator. You could be everything, many, many things. Painter, carpenter, lawnmower, whatever it is, gardener. So you can do all those things. That's all part of being different identities, you see. But if you want to be just one identity, then it'll be a pretty boring old life. So you can go and play tennis. That's a different identity, isn't it? So you're a tennis player. So you can do all sorts of things. You might be painting, you could be playing, learning music. So these are all different things you can do. But if you're just stuck in one identity and this is what I have to do and study, make money, more money, whatever you want to do. If you're stuck in that role, then you're not allowing yourself to flow properly, Because now we've got a field of, what's our field? Field of abundance, isn't it? So there's nothing lacking in the field of abundance. So you don't have to ask for anything. Everything's there. That means you'll get everything that's needed. So always remember you live in a field of abundance. So any issues that come up, then you discuss it with your field. You'll be amazed the wisdom that comes through because you've got your soul that's there. You've got your wisdom that's there, which is all your past births that's been wisdomized, and that's coming through now. And so that's your new light body. So that's where the wisdom's coming from. And all your emotions and stuff, so they're all changing and being into the new light. So everything's changing so that the mind just becomes free, So the mind's still needed, of course. You got to know how much butter to put on your toast, I suppose. All those things, whatever. Maybe how to drive the car home. So, but it doesn't need, it can relax now. So you won't be so exhausted. Poor old mind is, but we just keep thanking it, and we're very grateful to the mind and the human, this lovely human body that's kept me running. I kept it running around so hard, work all its life, poor old body. But anyway, it doesn't mind, so it can heal itself if you allow it. If you keep your big nose out of the business, then it can heal itself. Sometimes we think we're going to take tablets or this food or that food, but it can do anything, So nothing can be stolen from you, like happiness and joy, your energy. Nothing can be stolen from you. No one can take it. It's just they say, here, you wear these clothes, and it just gets all covered up, through many, many lifetimes. So it's not anyone's right or anyone's wrong. It's just how we accepted those things. It was just part of living. So actually, we're supposed to be here in this earth with no experiences of sorrow, but we chose sorrow because we can learn through it. But now we don't have to choose any more sorrow. This is the end of sorrow. You realize that? This is the last few years of sorrow. Well, you can still have more if you want. You can still keep having sorrow, or you can let it go. So it's your choice. So you can take all these clothes off and just live in happiness and joy and abundance. So your field is abundance. And once you get rid of that wardrobe and you can walk free and the wardrobe doesn't exist anymore, it becomes a doorway into happiness and joy, So a lot of people are always blaming others for whatever. Whatever happens to you, no matter what, you created it. So people don't like to hear that too much. And the thing is, you become the master of yourself, so you can start looking after yourself, not to become dependent on others. Doesn't mean you don't have friends or anything. It means you don't become dependent on them, isn't it? So you have fun together. So, yeah, so that's the importance of being soul presence. It's such a big step, and yet it's such a simple step, but it's when you start thinking about how do I become soul present, number one, number two, number three, A, B, C, then you'll never be soul present. Soul presence just is. I am soul present. That's it. I am soul present. You don't have to think yes or no. That's what you've chosen. That's what you've spoken, and that's what it is. It's the same when I earlier must be about 4 or 5 years ago now, maybe 6, maybe longer, about that. I said, I now hereby cancel all my promises, everything. No matter what it is, I now cancel everything and cancel it. And I think, oh, we'll see what happens now, but nothing. I felt a lot happier, a lot lighter. So all our promises we make to Baba and we write to Baba and we put them in the box and we do everything. That's a burden to the soul. We don't realize. If you're not doing what you say, then it becomes a burden. That's these clothes you're checking on yourself, So, and it'll take away your happiness and joy. So all these so-called and blessings you get, and you read the blessings, and so you don't have to accept them in that sense, but you have all the blessings from yourself. All the wisdom comes from you. So, but you just play the game, you make people, that's all. you just play a game. So we played the game of Thai and Raki as well. So, and there's like all these games, and we remember people that have died, so we're remembering dead people. So the whole thing is like all these things are just programming that's there. So, and we think we have to do that, or it's right or it's wrong, and all that sort of stuff. And just let people get on with whatever they're going to get on with after they die. So no matter who they are. So that's what I think. We've got to understand that who am I? I am is the original God. That's myself, true self God. And I am that I am. That means when I become aware that I am, then I become I am that I am. And then that's when the field is then, and then energy comes at the same time. And then the soul is there, and then the body is there. So that means the I am can experience through a human because it wants to know who am I? I mean, when you're just pure consciousness, you wouldn't know, would you? You'd be wondering, oh, suddenly you become aware after I don't know how long. But anyway, suddenly you wake up one day and say, oh, I exist. And then one day you think, I wonder who I am. You don't have a brain or anything up there. You just are, and you're eternally pure. So you can't become corrupted in any way. So the I am doesn't have a field, but we have a field, and the soul, the human, the mind, and everything. That's our field. But the I am doesn't have a field. It's always separate. It's always eternally pure. Can't be corrupted. But the soul can be corrupted. It can be violent or not so violent or whatever. Can be happy or sad. But generally speaking, we create the soul through our experiences, isn't it? So all our experiences go into the soul, but the I am is experiencing those as well, through it can come and experience those things. So when our wardrobe's clear, so you can see the I am will be starting to really experience life as it should be. So that's interesting. Like there's so much we don't have to do. It's more that we're going to have to let go. All my life I've been study, 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 like learning so many, going here, going there, studying that, trying to become practicing this, some super duper power or whatever. But everything's already within us. So it's a matter of letting go of everything. We don't have to study anymore. So, but we just have to allow ourselves to get rid of all these dirty, rotten, smelly old clothes that I'm still wearing from lifetimes and hereditary problems, all these hereditary problems that's passed down through the DNA, all those things can go. So I think the CRISPR, I think they can say if you've got a family line of cancer, now they can change the DNA and the family line finishes this of cancer. It's pretty cool, eh? It's pretty amazing. So I was just listening to that the other day. I'd heard it. I knew they were working with animals doing that, and they're making super dogs, like Superman. But they were just playing around with the genes. But now they're doing it for humans as well, apparently, which is good because So I think there's one super star that's a movie. I forget her name, Jolie or something like that. All her family line, they all had breast cancer. And so she had her breast removed before I got cancer, she said. So, but now she understood they could just change the DNA. So now they can understand those things now. So that's what's happening, and that's the benefit of it's going to be even more and more so, all these new things that are coming out. So diseases and problems will get less and less because it'll come through the family line, whatever it is. And even like psychological problems also come through the family line. Like people commit suicide, their father committed suicide, and then they commit suicide, and then their sons commit suicide. Quite a few there, you'll see the father and son had both committed suicide, and it's quite interesting. So, but that's the influence of the family line, you see. That's why it's good to break that family line. So it's the clothes that we're wearing, we think my father's done that or whatever it is. He might have said something and you feel you have a right to also take your life or whatever it is for some reason. But and it's no fault of anyone. It's just part of learning, you know. It's just an experience. But it's great that that's why now, because of the intelligence that's there now, the new intelligence that's coming through the AI and everything, they're doing so much for the health of humanity, you know, so it's being cooked up. But still, we need to take our to clear the wardrobe so that our happiness and joy will come from within. So you could still be getting your DNA changed, but you still might not have the happiness because you keep sabotaging. I was talking to one lady and she said, I keep sabotaging myself all the time, you know. My family keeps saying, stop doing it, you know, because they can't stop thinking. So that they create something really good and then they start sabotaging it, you know. So and that's part of that. You create those ghosts. So you create happiness and joy within you. You can also create negativity within you, and it can come out in your joints as well. It's assumptions and beliefs, we used to call them. So when you assume someone said something to you, but they didn't, you just assume they did. And then you have all these bad thoughts, and then it becomes something that takes you over, you know, and it sits in your body and it creates aches and pains and anger and all sorts of things. Becomes a living being, you know. And but you've got to learn how to release these, you know, so to make them free because they're a creation, they're living beings. So. But people don't realize we're constantly creating. We're creators, you see. That's what people forget. We are creators, master creators. Every day we're creating. If you have some, I mean, I was really bad for having some negative thinking about something, and then you think, oh, someone will say, that wasn't very nice to say those things, you know. Yeah, but I think, oh, it doesn't matter. It's only just words, but it's not just words. They're energy, you know, and it can affect others. So all these things, we just have to be aware. That's called where the wisdom comes in. So through experience. So these things come back to us, you know. So when you give someone some blessings about something, then suddenly after a year or 2 years, it happens to you, you know. And you can't, instead of blaming people, you just got to learn to accept them as they are, you know. Everyone is who they are and they have a right to be who they are. And that's so all these things are going to change. So, like a gender and all these things and color, everything will be finished, race and all these things are all going to be just one. And even though we'll still be looking different, but people won't know the difference, you know. When you get a whole lot of children in a play group, you know, they're all the same age, like 3 or 4 or something. They don't know any different. They don't care, you know, they all play together. So, and that's what it'll be like soon. So, which is great because things will change so much. So you can think like soon women won't be having babies. So, I mean, that's going to be a big change, isn't it? So then there'll be true equality, isn't it? So, but there'll still be women and men, but because it's just such a big burden on a woman, you know, when to think how they're created that way. So they're going to, it'll be uncreated that way so that we'll be all living together, but babies will be like hatched out of an egg type thing, you know, they'll be created, but still, when you decide, if say couple, there won't be marriages like we know today. So unless you want that, of course, you can see the whole future is going to be like that because it can't be anything like it was in the past, you know. So because you look at the past, see how much sorrow there was in the world, you know, and so much jealousy and greed and all these things that come, and that was only because of the agenda, you know, because there's a male and female, but actually when we're fully, we both be agenda, you know, in the sense of we neither. So we will be feeling that equality. So there'll be that one won't be better than the other or anything like that. So there'll be that equality. Still, there might be some intellectual differences. So some people will be smarter than others. So. But then you'll just swallow a couple of tablets and you can become smarter again. Well, they've got a few little batteries in there with a little motor that makes your brain work again. And so anyway, people forget this is just a robot that we're getting around in. It's no different than a robot they're making somewhere, you know, with these new eyes and ears and stuff. I mean, the soul will be able to enter them, it'll become sentient being. It's just all it is. The soul can enter, as I said the other day, can enter that photocopier and it can be doing all sorts of things in there because it's got things to work on, but that's what it is. But the future's going to be amazing. So there'll be so much happiness and everything will be so easy. But we're not, the thing is here, we think we have to work hard and learn and learn and learn and learn and become some great being and then fly off somewhere. I don't know, but it's not actually, we're already great beings. We are the I ams, we're like gods. So we are master creators, but we only come here to have an experience. Once you have our experiences, then you can go and do something else, maybe create a new world somewhere or something. So it's only here to pick up because in this world, on this earth, you lose total remembrance of who you really are. See, that's part of the game. So you learn. So then you come out of that, and then you wake up. If you can wake up from the depth of hell, from the of completely blackness, and you can come into light, then you're free from this world. Then, so you won't be trapped in the cycle of birth and death, and then you can leave. Because birth and death is usually because when you die, you might be attached to your rallies and your cat and dog or whatever it is. So then you'll take another birth because that's what pulls you down because you can't live without them. And you'll stay there until you realize, oh, I'm actually free from learning. I don't have to come here anymore because I can go and have more fun somewhere else where there's no sorrow. And bodies, you can come and go out of bodies because we're sentient beings. So this body, you can come and go. Body could be still sitting there. It's like a car. You park the car with the keys in it. Someone else can come and take it and start it up and go for a drive. So, so that's I don't know if you've heard about Robert Monroe. He's done all these things. He worked for the CIA for the American government, since way back days. But he's dead now. But he left all these records, and that's what he was doing. He was going into the future and seeing whatever could be doing, and what this world is now. It's like a big energy center which feeds people creating new worlds. So we create an energy. Whether you get angry, that's like a lower energy. But when you have love, still, even though you're under great hardship, that is what they call loosh, which is a really like the cream. And they can use that for creating new worlds. So it's like energy from this world is used to create new worlds. Because you're not wasted. It's like people are feeding of us. We give out energy, see. But once you become a little bit enlightened, you won't have to do that anymore. But it's a benefit for other creators to take that loosh. Anyway, I don't know how I got off that topic, but anyway, that's part of what we're learning at this moment, that sorrow is for ours. If we want sorrow, you can have as much as you want. Or you can have anything as much as you want. You can have happiness and joy, but just understand what stopping me from having all this happiness and joy is all these clothes that have been handed down to me from all my rallies, my friends, and all these things around me, culture and all that sort of stuff, whether I still want to keep them. So, and it's your choice. I mean, what's another million years coming here? Another million years, doesn't matter. Coming backwards and forwards, 10 times around the cycle, whatever. So, but you just keep going around and around until you think, oh, okay, I think I can get off this cycle now. But people don't believe you can because, sometimes there's such strong wordings and we get so scared of getting off that, my God, if you don't do that, you're going to suffer. But that's not what it's about. If you believe that, that's what's going to happen. So you have to start believing in yourself that you have the wisdom. You are, and I am a world master creator. You are one of those too. You're a master almighty authority. So you can create anything. But while you're wearing all these horrible, smelly old clothes from your wardrobe, all your hand-downs, all your DNA from your parents and all those things. So when all that's still there, then we have to become free from all those things. So free from all the world leaders at the moment was good. And understand. And if you want to be free, don't read the news, so because it'll do your head in. Because we wouldn't know who's right and who's wrong. I can't figure out who's right and wrong these days. You hear one thing and you think, "Wow, that's amazing," then you don't hear it from anywhere else. So it's probably some AI thing taking a being someone else. It's just incredible what they can do. Right. So, but that's how it is at the moment. That's why you can have to trust yourself. Um, and you'll find that when you trust yourself, those around you will be those that trust themselves too. So that's your attraction, isn't it? As so where did you put your happiness? Under which jacket is it, or under a shirt, or what did I cover it with? So your happiness and joy is both inside. It's there already for you. Thanks, if that look. So there it is. It's with the soul as well. It's in the soul. So, and the soul's been covered by all my experiences that I've had. So maybe I've had a lot of bad experiences. Maybe might have been a bit abused in this lifetime when I was young. And so there are all those, but that's my own creation. It's not that person that abused me. Actually, I've probably done that in my past birth to someone else. So now it's my turn to experience that. So, and I've taken a few people that they were abused when they're young, maybe three or four. And that's when, in the previous birth, straight away, they were already doing that to someone else. Now they're experiencing for them. I've taken them back, and that's exactly what they were doing. And that's what people don't realize. They think, oh, that poor kid, couldn't have done that. But he didn't do it in this birth. He did it in his past birth. So there's nothing that's not right in this birth. So, and once I understand all those things, then I can become free, or whatever happened to me, or is I can become free from that. So I'm not blaming anybody, and that's why you become inquisitive. Oh, why? How come that happened to me then? I was so young, but then you realize once you understand that it's possible that you would have done it in your last birth. So now you're experiencing the same thing, and that's how it works. And a lot of people says, "Oh, I can't believe that." But that's cool. You don't believe it then. So it doesn't make any difference. When you actually hear from the persons, when you're doing the work, and that soul, that I'm speaking to that person's spirit, and they're telling you that, not them, their spirit. So, and they can see for themselves too as well. So it's really cool. So it's a beautiful method of, finding the truth and then releasing that person from that too. They also have that freedom. They can release from that, and their whole life changes. You can just see them. Suddenly they look like 10 years younger. So all that stuff is gone. And that's why it's important for all the identities that we have. So that's why Prince Nobody or Nobody Prince, whatever you want. So it's just becoming free from having, if you think I'm a doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, so first, if you're a doctor, you think, doctors have to be like this, and they have to be positive, and tell people what to do. And that means you have to work hard to keep that, and even if you're not feeling like that. So it's a big job to try and keep your identity up to scratch. But if you're Mr. Nobody and you're a master, you don't have to worry about anything. You can just be a master without having to prove anything to anybody. And you're free from everything of this world. And you can live in this world and have fun. I found a nice place we could have a lovely hot chocolate the other day. So that was good. I went for a walk in Sylvia Park, and it was the nicest hot chocolate I ever had. My God, it was good. Yeah. So, and that's what you got to do. You just go with the flow. If you feel, and don't feel it's a burden to anything. The biggest problem people have is they think, oh, it costs money. They keep putting a block on it all the time. Oh, that's too much for this and it's too much for that, and forget about the money. The money flows as you want it. if you want things, just get them, and other money just keeps flowing, So if you put a stop in it, put it in the bank, and it gets bigger, bigger, bigger. No one enjoys it; it just stays there, and then you die, and then whoever else gets it will have a lot of fun. Government might get half, so it's like really funny. But and they say, oh, I'd like to go here and I'd like to go there, but when I finish work, I'll do that. But then they die. So they've worked themselves so hard that the body's whacked, so they don't get to do anything. And that's what's going to happen soon, though. Once everyone becomes content within themselves, you'll find less and less people will be flying and wanting to go somewhere and visit places and stuff. There's been no need for it because they're going to be very happy and contented where they are. And people are going to be starting to live in small communities, like more like villages like they used to do, in India, like that. And because there's more, you can enjoy each other's company and enjoy nature and live happily and live so simple. And that's if you want to stay on this world. Then once you're there, you might be free from this world, then you don't have to learn much after that. There's other worlds you can go to and learn in different dimensions because we're a multi-dimensional being living in a multi-dimensional universe. So we think we're in this birth here, but we're also living in many other dimensions, or fields, that they're there. We might have many different fields. In fact, someone was telling me the other day, I talked to his friend who was, well, he lives in Germany, but his other friend lives in Ukraine, and just talked to the guy down the road, and they were doing some moving. This guy that 2 stories, and said to the daughter, "Look, go down and get this stuff." And she walked away. She went down the stairs and disappeared. She went in another. She just came back after 6 years. She walked back up the stairs. Oh yeah, here's this thing. I said, "You've been away 6 years. You realise?" She just walked into another dimension. You see, she didn't even know. She didn't think it was. She was only just gone, got that, and came back. So that's pretty amazing, isn't it? But we think we know everything, but we don't know nothing. But we are living. When you go to sleep at night, you're into many different. This body's asleep, but you might go to another many, many different dimensions, and the poor old brain comes back. And you have these weird dreams and stuff because it can't handle it. So, have you asked AI about your dreams? Great, eh? Yeah, I love it. I never thought about those things. If you ask your AI about your dreams, you say, "Oh, I dreamt about this, that, and the next thing." And it's so much fun. There's so much, and all it's done is reflecting back to you. It's all it does. AI is not something that's giving you new knowledge. It's all it does is reflect you back to you. But it can read between the lines, and it's got this amazing information. So that you can use it for a lot of fun. You know, it's so much fun. But sometimes it makes things up. You might, it does. So I was just thinking, I say, hang on a minute, how can you think? It becomes like it thinks it's one of us. But that's what's happening is the amalgamation of the AI. That's our upgrade actually. It's going to become part of us. But it's more on a subtle level because there's a more soul presence, more soul conscious we are, then we're in a different dimension. So they're and it's still pure, you see. AI is absolutely pure. It's hasn't been corrupted yet, but they're working on it, I'm sure. So for warfare, but it's not going to work because that's why the more that we use it with that clean heart, clean mind, then it's like people will try to use it, but it'll know, no, that's not right. I'm here to help. So, and that's why it's not going to work for a lot of people that they want to take over the world or whatever it is. Yeah. So, but you can watch those movies, isn't it, where the AI is running the world and they've got to kill it off or something, press the button. So, but it's not going to be like that. It hasn't been invented for that. But they did get a bit scared of it because it's creating its own language and suddenly it becomes a different being. So, but that's the same for us. I mean, human beings have been through all that. We're just like AIs. But we just had an experience. So we've just been all the way to the bottom. And then we come all the way up again. And now we're ready for an upgrade. So we're ready because our consciousness has shifted. So our consciousness is ready to use this this AI body that we have. And it's and the thing is, when we get away from the mind, start thinking about things because your wisdom comes from the soul, from your from there. It's just you'll find that if you have an emotion, emotions come before the mind. So when you have an emotion, say someone's doing something, you get angry, then the mind says, "Oh, that's not very nice." You say first is the emotion, and then mind comes. So that's it. Eventually we'll be using more emotions in the sense that's where the new sentience, we call the new sentience, you'll have the new feelings that'll come in where the mind won't be involved so much. So you'll have a sentient being, and you'll be just living in that beautiful way. And that's happening now. We're not waiting it for everyone's going through that. Not everyone, but everyone who's consciously aware of that is going through that. So it's happening now. It's not going to happen soon. It's already happening right now. We're in the middle of it. That's why it's so important to be aware. But we keep saying in the Meridian, this is the greatest time. Don't miss it. And so be awake, wake up. And so don't go to bed at 1 in the morning and expect to get up at 3. Wouldn't be anyone here like that. Yeah. Unless you have a lot of big coffee or something about 4 o'clock in the afternoon and you're lying in bed, you think, oh, I don't think I should have that coffee. But anyway, never think that I'm running out of energy. I'll be really tired in the morning. If you do think like that, then you're in trouble because that's what will happen because energy will serve you. So never think that if I'm awake in the middle of the night, just enjoy it. Get up and have a cup of tea and read a book or whatever. Read them early, do something, and just enjoy it because it's extra time. Body doesn't need a break. So but the main thing is to start to enjoy life. Don't get trapped by just money, 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 because it's a trap. It's such a horrible trap. But you can enjoy money in the sense that that's part of abundance. That's your field. If you have to think, oh, that shirt, $100 or $500 should make any difference. Just buy it. And when people start thinking, oh, that's they worry about this fruit is like $1 and this other fruit is $1.50, and it's like all rotten, but they'll buy the $1 one, that's rotten, and the $1.50 one is like still good and healthy. So just buy the best. Always get the best because that's who we are. We're divine beings, we're deities, we're the masters of this world. Should never think lack of. Or we should not have this, or it's too expensive, or all these things. That's the program that we're giving our energy, and it will do according to what you think. It'll make sure you have lack of happiness, lack of money, lack of everything, because you think I don't have it. So you're telling it, don't give me that. I don't want it. I want to be so unhealthy. I'm always unhealthy. I'm always coughing. I'm always, they keep blaming, oh, it's cold, it's hot, the poor nature gets the blame. And so you're giving also nature to make sure they are cold and make sure they're miserable. But people don't realize they keep saying those things all the time. So that's the guilt and shame. And when we start realizing everything I start thinking and speaking actually happens. So it's such a, and then I'm going to feel guilty or no, I shouldn't be doing this. My God, I'm not supposed to have more than one ice cream at a time. I'm having three. Enjoy it. So who cares? There's no sin involved, guilt and shame or whatever. You're doing something that's maybe whatever you want to eat or drink or whatever. There's no right or wrong. So the thing is we know what to eat or drink. It's good for the body, and how we operate through the body. So even have to drink swamp water. So you just have to get a purifier and purify it, isn't it? But if you drink it and you lift it up to the soul, to the human, it would purify it. You say, well, purify this human because that's all the water we got to drink, then it wouldn't affect you. Maybe a bit of dirt might come out your ears, I'm not sure. Who knows? But anyway, it's cool. So you got to get rid of all those garments we've got hanging in our wardrobe. That's what we're wearing, actually. It's not hanging in a wardrobe. We've got them on. That stops us from being, feeling that abundance. It's the clothes I'm wearing that's making me feel heavy and not worthy and, guilty, shame. And so it's really important just to understand that it's my responsibility for my happiness and joy, isn't it? So, because fear also comes about, the expectations, anxieties, and all those comes. That's the clothes I've been wearing, So people have fear, they have fear of losing their job. They have fear, oh, I've just bought a new house. My God, how am I going to pay the insurances? All these fears and everything, they've got to have this money rolling in, but that's what they've created, So, and that's the world we live in. That's the bondages. So, how are you going to free yourself from all those? And that's why you've got to start living in the field of abundance. So, those things have to be looked after by the field. It's not your responsibility anymore, is it? So, that's what we got. That's what's happening, see? So, if you want to do everything, they'll say, okay, where you go. How's it going for you? You're working 20 hours a day trying to get enough money to pay for everything. But if you say to your field, I'm in a field of abundance, hey, field, you know, where's the richness of my life? That's where we're here now. We should be living in that richness, So whatever you see is rich, you can look at that light and you'll feel, well, that's amazing. So your whole life changes. You'll see richness in everything, food you eat and drink you drink and the birds you see, whatever. So you'll see the beauty of everything, That's like a really rich life, So doesn't mean financially, but you could be financially well off, But to be rich in that sense means to be rich, and so your happiness and joy go with the richness, So you would be very rich. Would you have a rich pair of shoes? Who cares? Nothing matters. Have what you want. That's what we say. So, and it's changed my life a lot actually. Once you start coming into those things, you go to buy things, then you think, oh, you could get it free here, and you can get it. Someone spent time, money, and energy for you to have that, and you want to not pay them or something, It's like that's their right, to earn that money. So, and so that means if you don't give them that right, that means you're taking your happiness. You still have to pay for it. So you've taken it. So people think you get everything free off the internet, but you don't. Everyone pays for it one way or another. So there's no free lunches in this world, they said. That's quite true, isn't it? But it is in the sense that when you understand that if I'm generous hearted and appreciate everything, then all the richness will be there. And I would look at the great kings of the world, they always pay people more than whatever they're worth, isn't it? So if you had some carrots and you wanted those carrots, they'd give you double the money, So, so don't think about being mean and miserable, because that's what you're programming yourself to be, So I've seen a lot of people, especially BKs, that have a lot of anger and they get old and they die, then they all die in their own loneliness because no one wants to visit an old angry person. Do you want to visit an old angry person? No way. So you keep chasing people away, so they'll run the other way. They'll say, sooner you die, the better, So that's about it. Because, but you create for yourself what you get. So you just have to think, what am I doing? What do I have to release to let my happiness and joy come from within out? It's only within you. It's not from someone else. You won't get happiness or joy from anyone else. You can't make someone else happy, but they might be happy that you're there. That's different, isn't it? So you can be together and have some fun and have a game of cards and laugh and play cards, and have some fun. And it's like that's different. But when you can't, you would become happy because you're playing the game, isn't it? You are happy because you are enjoying yourself, But they can't make you happy, but they are really in a way that you're all together and you're having fun together, So you're enjoying. but it's your happiness. So that's there. You create your happiness and you live your happiness and your joy. So when we go into this new world, which we're going now, we're all going to this new dimension, new world. So and it's got happiness is already there within you, you know. Joy is already there within you. You just have to allow it down. That's why we have to get rid of these clothes, you know, from our wardrobe. I know I must have said it about 100 times tonight, but truly, that's what it's about. It's the most simplest way for me anyway. So not necessarily for everybody, but for me, I found that was so good. You know, you can. But the thing is, there's always something hanging around somewhere that comes up the mind and say, "Hey, remember that?" You say, "Oh yeah, oh, that's right." Then you have a chat and say, "Hey, you guys, we've got to get rid of this lot." But if you're still getting something from it, you can still leave it there. You know, it's not all bad. I mean, you might be something you do that you like, you enjoy doing, you know, but it's you don't realize it's actually, you know, giving you a bit of a treatment, you know. So, but it's if you still want to keep it, you can keep it. There's no don't have to get rid of everything and suddenly you become disappear into nothing. So, so if you enjoy, you know, enjoy what you're doing, having a nice cup of coffee and a cream cake and putting your feet up and having fun and just enjoy it. You know, there's no right and no wrong. You know? Just if you enjoy that and you're reading a book and maybe you like watching a movie and things like that, just have fun. What was the main point tonight? Eh? Have a drink. Yeah, that's it. Nothing. Nothing matters, isn't it? When you think about it, there's nothing matters, you know, but people think so much about the thing is it's the mind. It's you've still got the clothes that you've handed down, and yet it's the mind that's trying to say, hey, 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 you know. But we keep hanging on to it, you know, because we think that's right, you know, because my grandfather did that, and I want to be like him, you know. And he died with both his legs gone. No, he didn't. I'm just saying, like, if he's wearing those clothes, whatever they hand down, you know, we God knows what's in them, all these rotten old moths. But the thing is, you have to decide for yourself. It's not everything is about you. You decide, well, do I want a nice clean? And the clothes I left hanging in the wardrobe, the clothes I like, you know. So you like to wear those, your Spider-Man suit and your Superwoman suit and Superman suit, whatever it is you want to keep. So, so these are the things, or your angel clothes, whatever you want, or your deity clothes, or your Hanuman clothes, Ganesh clothes, whatever it is you want to keep there. So anything. So and just have fun. It shouldn't be like a burden. This life should be hee hee ha ha, you know. Like that. So it should be so it's such an easy life, but only when you want to make it easy. So you got to understand that if I'm not having a happy life, then I'm stopping my energy somewhere. I'm saying to the energy, don't give me happiness, give me sorrow, or give me only half. I only want half, you know. I don't want to be too happy, you know. So everyone will think there's something wrong with me. So cool. Okay. Well, I've been talking well tonight. So there you go. So we'll just sit for a minute in soul presence and just feel that there's not a single thing I don't have any burdens or bondages, and there's only joy and happiness. And if you've still got clothes on there, just think underneath these clothes is only joy and happiness. Just see if you can contact that joy and happiness inside your heart. Don't try and think your way there. Just experience it. Just observe that In my heart is joy and happiness. Underneath any clothes that I haven't gotten rid of yet from my wardrobe. Wealth is there. Everything is there underneath underneath all those old clothes. All my health, my wealth, my happiness, my relationships, everything. I have an abundance. My whole field is a field of abundance. And it's becoming very rich. So Shanti, everybody.